Hello, hi, my name is Heaven George and I'm from Redlands, California. So this video is just kind of a continuation of my feelings on gangstalking and stuff like that. So there's this thing, it's called body language, sign language, gesture, and harassment, and it's just basically sign language and stuff like that that they use to harass people. There's also like noise harassment, and this is actually for me, this is the number one worst part of my gang stalking because this is the part that is the most noticeable and the most visible for the victim. I don't know about your I don't know about your situation or your life. I know that on the internet it's all about like, oh, people are spying on you. You just feel like you're being followed. You see the same people whenever you go to stores. You just see the same people over and over when you go to work or you go to a trip, you go vacation, you go airplane, whatever you go, like you see people and stuff. Well, for me, I don't know if there is really a worst part. It's all bad and then it all adds up together. It's just a one big mess and we obviously don't want any of this to happen to us. So the worst part for me is the bilingual sandwich and that noise, gesturing harassment, because that's the most prevalent part of the harassment, and then that's the most visible and clear. Now, the falsification and documentation stuff, because of my healthcare situation, that's why I see a lot of it. Now, if I was a manager or a boss or something like that, well, it is true. Like some people, they can lose their job and all this stuff. There's a lot of bad things that can happen with these. Usually, a lot of people, you're able to hold a job. You just can't complain because if you complain, then that gives motivation for them to keep you. If you complain too much, you can be fired. Legally, they cannot do that. Legally, you have to actually prove that the person was lying through the complaints. But hypothetically, if that's motivation in that now you're an annoyance, it's reason for someone not to like you, stuff like that. And I don't know, if you have a really hard environment, it's usually just better to leave. You can try talking. That's definitely number one. You can try first ignore. Well, no. Try. You could talk to the person like, hey, stop doing it, blah blah blah. Stuff like that. They usually won't work. Usually people that harass, they do it purposely and it's not usually an accident. So it doesn't, talking usually in most cases, in my opinion, in life, it only works with people that you like and stuff, just minor situation and people that you know, people, friends, family, something like that, somebody you actually like, stuff like that, it might work like that. But in terms of like a bully or someone that's harassing you for absolutely no reason, talking doesn't do nothing. And that they'll deny their error and they'll say they didn't do anything and all sorts of stuff like that. Be it at work or school, anywhere, it doesn't matter where you're at in life. If it's like some random person you don't know, first time they ever meet you, they already harass you, like it's a big red flag. They're not really willing to fix the problem. Or this is my life experience, and you never know. Who knows how life will change in millions, thousands of years from now, blah blah. But from my opinion of places I've been to, the amount, it's logical sense, common sense. Anyone could figure this kind of out. Then from there, step two, ignore. If you can handle it, if you're not in a good mood, if you're depressed, if you're sad, if your mental health is being affected, or if you're just avoiding places because you fear this person, blah blah blah, then ignoring is not really working. See, a real if you're tough and your brain is able to handle it and ignore, that means you're able to, like, you can go to work and then be in a happy mood when you come back from work, or when you're at work, you're still happy and you're still hanging with the people that you like, and whatever that person did to you, it doesn't affect your day. That's ignoring. Now, if you are avoiding the person, if you have to quit your job and like go somewhere, I guess that is ignoring. You could go find a different job, or you could different type of school or whatever. But yeah. But anyways, yeah. So ignoring is like you have to have like a real like solution. You actually and stuff. And so that's what I say. I would say that it doesn't always work for everyone. Ignoring doesn't work for everyone in that if there's no actual real solution, if your problems are not getting better, if the person continually harasses you or the situation only gets worse and worse and worse, honestly, ignoring doesn't really work, right? Then, number three, there's really nothing to do after that. Complaining, you can always try that, but usually complaining is almost useless in that it almost never works. In large numbers, it can be useful. Like, example, if hundreds or thousands of people complain about a particular person, or look, even sometimes 100,000 not enough. It depends on the company, how big the company is or person. Now, when you on an individual or company, and for a company, because they have like millions of people buying their products, so what? You get a few hundred people that complain and not really going to do anything because it's not necessarily their fault either. It could be some employees or someone came late to work or something like that, and then as a result, stuff like their product didn't come on time, they got pissed off like that. So that's why you have to look at the number and the percentage. With one employee, if they had like in a year like 30, 100 complaints, that's pretty bad. That would probably be motivation to fire you. So it depends, versus one employee versus a company, blah blah blah. How many people complain? Now the thing is, usually most people don't have that many complaints. Most people will not have like 100 complaints a year for any job. Usually, at worst, it's only a few complaints a year. It's my guess. I could be wrong, but it's just a guess. Now there's definitely worse than that. So complaining is not really useful. I'm not anyway saying that you should not complain, like on Yelp or Google and all that stuff like that. But there are just a lot of things that you can do and try, but it doesn't mean that it's actually going to work. Example, from my life experience, I can say that a lot of the stuff that I wanted to improve and stuff have not really, just normal example, what the advice that people will give you with the situation, it doesn't really work. You pretty much have to learn to live. This is the destruction of your future in your life, and that every single day is going to be painful, and there's nothing to look forward to in life. I don't know, until you find, it's pretty much that's what ends up happening, because you don't really have there is no help, because the police are the criminals, basically. They're the ones that are orchestrating the harassment. And if you complain, they will not tell you what they're planning to do. All the bad in their mind, all the evil they have inside of their head, all the horrible things that they're thinking about doing to you, they're not going to verbalize it. And they're not going to admit it, public. It's not like they're going to go on the internet and be like, on Facebook, I'm a bad person and I hate this girl and I want to ruin her life. Like, nobody's going to effing do that. They're going to do a little bit different, see, they don't make it very, even a criminal, they don't go up to a store and be like, hey, I'm going to go rob a bank. No, they try to put it, it's just, even criminals, when they try to do criminal stuff, they try to do it secretly, like a drug dealer, he's not going to go in front of a police station and be like, hey, I'm a drug dealer, you should catch me. No, like, they try to do it, like, behind people's back. They do it, like, they'll meet at someone's house or at a particular street or something and be like, we'll do a trade, and they'll just look normal. You won't know, like, you just put it in their purse or something like that and make a little trade with their purses or in their pockets or something like that. Like, baggy clothes, maybe stuff it in their jacket or something. So, things like that. And, I'm going to do something here. Hopefully that helps with the visualization. So basically, the people doing this to us are, it's just like they're not going to admit to it, and so, it's just a hard situation. Oh, if they complain, it's just, I feel very hopeless. My videos are not going to help me be a stronger person and stuff like that. Like, I can't handle situations. It's just too much for me. And you don't have anywhere to go. And some people, I don't know, some people, their family lives get destroyed. Some people don't. I don't know. You hear different stories on these websites, internet stuff for different people. Some people, they say that their relationship gets quality reduces. And that's, I think, somewhat true. I don't fully agree with it. And for all cases, but it depends on the person. With my situation, I had no relationships to begin with. They were all pretty much destroyed to begin with. So I'm not crediting them at all for the destruction of my relationship with people. Though the harassment, like at the school, I never had administrators and I never had that type of stuff harass me. So that was kind of additional. And the disability services and stuff like that. Though, I don't know. Currently, my current environment is just really rough. They're not really nice people to begin with, so that makes my life a lot more difficult. And they're liars. So they've broken rules and all this. There's a lot of things actually bad I could say, but for purposes of fear that they may kick me out of the house, which they're threatening to do on many occasions, even though they treat me like shit. So anyway, that's a topic I don't want to actually get into. Uh, but the point is, I'm not gonna blame the world. I'm not gonna. People are doing this to me. Like, I didn't do anything to have this situation happen to me. It just happened. But at the same time, I do think, they should take responsibility for their behavior. It's hard. It's hard because there's really not much you can do about the situation other than live your life and try to have a normal life and stuff like that. But if you go to, I was gonna say that it's very hopeless. It's a very hopeless situation. I don't know. I was looking online and I'm looking stuff like learning disabled women gang stalking and stuff like Teresa Lotwood and Brian. I watch a lot of not anymore. I did it more last year or the year before, but I don't really watch too many gang stalking videos anymore. But from what I saw, I guess there was different severities. Like some of them would be homeless, while others would not. Most of them are not homeless. Most of them usually have a job. Though they say that people at work treat them badly, like they get harassed. Not always. And the other thing is, a lot of them, these gang stalking and community mobbing harassment stuff, they say different things. Like some of them say that it's everyone or a lot of people in this community harassing them, or other people they'll just say like it's a few people, like a small percentage of the population that's participating in it, or it's government controlled, or I mean, I don't really believe the government is doing this, to be honest. I do believe government employees participate. I believe it's a crime, probably. I'm not 100% positive that it's a crime. There are mild crimes committed in the process. I do think that, like, a lot of bad things happen and stuff that's not really fair. Rules are broken and stuff like that. It's clear. I don't know what's the perfect word or term to use for my situation, and that, like, the gang stalking stuff, it sounds a little bit too crazy, and that they keep saying the electrical harassment stuff and how there's illegal black market equipment being used. And that's the part that makes me kind of crazy, and where I do agree and don't agree in that there's a lot of weird stuff that people will do. And so I kind of agree with it, but then at the same time I don't, because it just, there's no science proving any of this. Like everything that I'm saying, or everything that a lot of these people, YouTuber, Google.com, all this stuff you see on the internet, articles and stuff, and all the, victims to this supposed crime claiming, legally speaking is considered a mental disorder, or you're making the story up. It's this fiction because you can't prove it. On top of not proving it on top of the fact that it sounds crazy, it's not provable in a lot of cases. Well, the criminals are the evidence, and that they're the ones that see it and can vouch for it and admit. See, if the police admitted that they were criminals, that would be evidence, you know what I mean, held in court. If they would testify and willingly confess and admit to their errors and bring all the evidence of the errors in which they made, if there are any evidence. Technically, the only real evidence is the criminal. So there are evidence, they are evidence to their own crime, but they're not going to willingly confess. And it's not even confessing is not always enough to actually lock you up. It depends on the situation, but like for cops or whatever, if they admitted to a lot of it, they'd eventually be fired, and they could even do jail time, and if they're falsifying it. I guess it's possible, actually. Same thing for the healthcare providers that I dealt with, or social services, or people on the job, stuff like that. If they willingly admit on record, on the papers and stuff, on their medical records, or client records, or criminal record, or background record, or work record, whatever record stuff, if they actually admit that they're doing their job wrong, on top of being fired, they could possibly even go to jail for willfully admitting something like that. I'm not 100% positive about the jail, but yes, if they could prove that they're doing it on purpose, then yeah, they could go to jail for it. So done on a repetitive basis, or depending on the severity of the error. So it kind of depends. So, I mean, of course, criminals are not going to admit to their wrong error. Not even criminals, just general people that are not criminals who do wrong things. They're not going to admit to their error and stuff. Basically, I don't know. I'm kind of in a rough situation. I'm not. It's just, that's how the situation is set up. It's that, like, they can be in trouble for what they're doing. It's just that they're very secretive, or they're doing it behind closed doors, and when other people are not looking, or stuff like that. You know, example, when you have a police, when they come to your house or they're coming to you, it's only you and them. Who else is seeing? You know, there's usually no one else in the room. There could be maybe a family or friends, something standing around, but that's about it, right? Without video, it doesn't count as evidence. Same thing with a hospital appointment. The door is closed. It's just you and your doctor, you and your nurse, or you and your secretary. So it's like it's just you and the other person. So it's your word against theirs, and legally speaking, their word always goes against yours. Almost always when it comes to a medical perspective, especially with psychiatry, it's whatever they say. And social services, same thing. Your job. Well, with the job, there's what your other employees have to say about you, as well as your clients or the people that you're working for, people that are paying and stuff like that. So based on what they say, though it depends. If it's kind of one-on-one situation, then you may actually have the advantage as the employee. If it's the employees bullying other employees, then it's whoever is more popular that ends up gets to harass you the most or gets to control you and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically how life operates. That goes back to the hierarchy and the, who's most well liked, or who has the most power at the job, or who employee of the year, employee of the month, stuff like that. People that are the most well liked are gonna have the more control. The people that are seen as the best workers, the one that pulls overtime, or the one that has the highest education level, like the PhD versus the bachelor. Like they may think the one that has the higher, like doctor versus nurse. Example, the doctor would be seen as more credible than the nurse. Stuff like that. So the ranking system, the judge is seen as more important than the paralegal. Stuff like that. So they do, like the boss is more important than basically the ones that get paid the most generally are considered the ones more in control. Not always, or the ones with the highest level of education. It's just generally how it's set up. Not always. The one who has a long period of time on the job. Example, if someone works 20 years at a job, normal, versus 1 year student. Like 1 year, sorry, not one. Example, even for doctor, there's still levels. Because, example, I'm not going to say like surgeons versus primary care, because surgeon, they're rich. They're like $250,000, like $300,000 a year, maybe $500,000 a year, depending on cardiac or brain tumor, whatever, cancer, stuff like that, versus the stuff like that. I don't know about that stuff, but I know like the student, which is the 1 year resident, versus the doctor who's been on the job for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to, the little, just came out of, medical school, right? First year. They're not going to be taken as seriously as the one who's been on the job for 20 years. Now, when you get too old, when you get like 100, nobody works till 100. And at that point, nobody wants you to work. Nobody wants a 100-year-old to work. You'd be like, well, then social, it's like, because they want other younger people to get the job, and you're just taking up other possible jobs for other people to get. I guess governmental-wise, it would be kind of hypothetically, if your brain and your body was functioning at a correct level, which is, most people don't live to 100, but I'm just hypothetically. It's just people would be scared. You might die on the job or something. Like, I think people would be creeped out. Actually, no, maybe not to 100, but like to like 80 or like 70, I'm not sure if they would prefer it or not. Because it is saving money for the government, because they would be paying you retirement, and then they're going to have somebody else replace your job. So for the government, it actually would be to their advantage to keep you working longer, because then, it's like whoever they replace, they're going to have to pay the full income, and then they're going to have to pay retirement. So it is kind of to the government's advantage to make you work out longer. Now, like I said, when you start getting to the 90 realm, it's kind of creepy, and that it's just, it's starting to get creepy. Anyways, no, there's also age discrimination. I heard that when you get too old, nobody wants you working there either, because there's kind of a limit to even as much as the government wants to save money, there's a limit to where people start not feeling. They don't feel safe, with the old. They'll be like, oh, Lord, he's old. His brain probably ain't working right. Alzheimer's, he don't understand what he's doing. You wouldn't feel good to have a 100-year-old surgeon What if he dies? Right. We'll proceed. I guess there's certain jobs you would like a police or something. So, oh yeah, those ones, the physical ability type jobs. Running, you're afraid they won't be able to like run too slow and all that stuff. So there's certain jobs where people would not feel good about that. It depends on the nature of the job, I guess. How they feel about that. So anyways, back to seniority and how important it is on the job. Yeah, if you are, depends how old, like I said, but like generally, like people in their 40s and 50s, I think they have more power on the job than someone that's in their late 20s, early 30s, because of the fact that you haven't really built your career, you haven't really built yourself and things like that, and that you're not really known. People don't really know you yet or whatever. It's not until like your mid 30s that you really created a reputation for yourself on the job. Though you never know. If you were like a genius or something, I'm sure you could create some new invention. He was a Bill Gates. He never graduated and he created the computer. So he was, I think he went to Harvard or some high Ivy League, forgot. And he graduated. No, what happened? Bill Gates. Yeah, he became a billionaire or something like that. Anyways, he invented the computer. I think very young, like early 20s or something, or maybe even, I don't know, mid 20s. This is like very young. So with the exception of people like that, where then there's the entertainment industry. There's times when your career can be built up when you're young, and that's some rare avidity. Then generally takes time to build your reputation and things of that nature. Especially when you're talking about the community. I'm not talking about like high school being invited to the coolest party or same thing for like university fraternity. That's totally different. They're only popular with their little kid world, with their like freaking 22 under club. Like that's what generally, and so when I'm talking about like reputation or popularity with the adult world, that's like when you socially connected with like 30, 40, 50-year-old and older crowds. And then again, people are generally associated with their own ages. Usually you associate, for example, if you're 35, you just hang with people within 5 or 10 year difference of your age. Generally. You don't really go past the 10-year age gap. Even that's a little extensive. You might, you know what I mean? Like you do 5-year younger or 5-year older. You don't really, generally in life, you don't really go too much with the age gap. Because you're going through different experiences and stuff. But anyways, so I think a lot of these videos would be better to be cut off and different. It seems more bloggish and a long list of advice, but I don't even think this is really following the topic, but whatever. I should have just like cut my videos up in sections and stuff like that. It probably would have been better if I did that. But whatever, again, I'm doing these long videos. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. I told myself I was going to make my videos like 10 or 15 minute long, and now I'm learning that I'm making a lot of my videos 30 minutes long, which is long, because I know that a lot of people don't really want to listen to long stories, generally, but whatever. This is how I am. If you find it useful, well, if you don't find it useful, yeah, oh well, what am I supposed to do about that? I'm trying to entertain myself here in the process, or free thought. So anyways, I was gonna say about so basically the people that do stuff like this and not that this whole like power or control or popularity stuff, not that it matters, but I feel like with these type of situations, it is kind of important to do something like this. You have to have some sort of establishment in the community. You have to have some sort of known. People have to have known. It's not like a minimum wage worker cannot do this to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the honest for God truth. It is not really. Not really. They can contribute to the harassment. They can contribute to the abuse. But to be the original orchestrator, to do something like this, anyone could do so. A child, anything's like, not anything's possible, but a lot of things, who knows, a child could do this. 30-year-old, 100-year-old, anything's possible, but at the same time, what's more likely, the people that are responsible for my harassment are actually adults, but a child is taking credit for what adults are doing, in that the child is purposely 100% lying to get attention because they want me kicked out of the house, and they don't want me living here, and also stuff like that. That's their main objective. And so they're making up stories, basically, to just make me look bad. And because they know that I'm not liked by anyone, and they're taking advantage of the situation, and that they know there's going to be no repercussion, and it's an idea that's already been infiltrated in the person's mind, and that they've already been reminded or brought examples of the situation. They basically, they see other people treat me like shit, and they're like, oh, okay, let me just treat her like shit too. So people are treating me badly. This child knows that and observes it, and nobody's being penalized. And so they're like, hey, I can be mean too, and nobody will penalize me, and I'm a kid, and I can play the little victim card, and no one can blame me for anything. So that's what ended up happening, but they're not actually responsible for it. It is possible, but they're not actually responsible for it, though they can get in trouble if they keep it up. If they keep it up for a few more years, they can actually get legally in trouble for it. But there's really not much I can do about that particular situation. It's just an addition to what the people already wanted to do. So there's adult, I mean, from my experience, I can say that, people can do wrong things and succeed. That's not new information. I mean, that you can read that in a book and bad stories and stuff like that about people's lives and things. Religion, I don't believe, can fix these people, because it's not an issue. They know what the religion is. We're in America. It's a Christian majority. Like, they don't want to take the religion. Like, if they have it, it's just like, okay, I don't know if I would say religion is fix. To fix this situation requires proof. Okay, that's probably you need proof of this abuse. I hope that one day someone is really, really stupid and does something and does something so obvious to where they get caught with it. With this situation, they do it. They won't show themselves to me. They won't. No one is coming to me and telling me who it is. Like, they're not giving me the actual name. And I know that this is an adult, most likely a man. Big probability it's a man. And either it's white or Hispanic. It's one of those two races. They do the demographics of the area, and the types of people that associate in this area is pretty much one or the other. As to how come I've seen so many Hispanic people in my life, my services were not all in Redlands either, because I had a lot of services in San Bernardino, and then stuff like that. There was some services there. It's part of the reason. Plus, a lot of the services in healthcare for low-income people are mostly Hispanic. So, example, if you go to a hospital that takes Medi-Cal, you'll see a ton of Hispanic people there. You won't really see white people. And then when you go to a hospital that takes private insurance, you'll see more white people. Now, of course, when you go to, the emergency room or whatever like that, you'll just see all types of people. But it depends on the city area you went to. That's why I see a lot of Hispanic people. Also, the schools I went to, the buses, when you're in the buses, still a lot of Hispanics. Probably even majority when you talk about bus. Any city you go to, if it's majority Hispanic, if you see them on the bus. A lot of these low-income services, you just see more of them there. Welfare, Social Security, disability, you see more of them there. Because not everybody qualifies for disability. Example, if you are on Social Security, disability, you have to be low income to qualify for it. Or you have to injury sustained on the job or something. You have to have disability insurance that you paid for, and then that's totally different. That has nothing to do with being low income. So you just see a lot of them in these low income areas. The church I went to, this big popular church I had gone to, was located with them. A lot of my psychiatrists are foreign born, meaning not born in America. A ton of them. Stuff like that. As a result, so I've seen a lot of, with my situation, you end up dealing with a lot of ethnic minorities. More than even what, Redlands is supposedly majority white. But, like I said, because I use a lot of government services, and a lot of it's designed for lower income people, and as a result, I saw a lot of Hispanics. A lot. Possibly even the majority in terms of the services I was getting. When you go to community college, you see a lot of them, because the white people, they go to the university, right? The Hispanics, they go to the community college. I'm not trying to be racist, but I mean, yeah, you'll see a lot of Hispanics at the university. If you went to Cal State San Bernardino, this whole Southern California is freaking Hispanic, ton of them, so you can't really say that they're not going to be there. There's going to be a ton of them there, but Valley College is hugely Hispanic. That's why. Crafton, I think, is like 50% Hispanic. So the University of Redlands is only like, and then Ukaipa is a white majority city, but you see like 50%, and then so you just see a lot of Hispanics, like a lot of Hispanics. So especially because the services that I'm using, a lot of these low income program services, you end up seeing a lot of them. That's why I said it's somebody white or Hispanic. It's one or the other. So anyways, not that it matters.